Edukemy's geography course offers live interactive classes, handwritten notes and model answers, regular assignments, and AI-based evaluations. Any better way to learn geography to crack UPSC exams? No, right? Click on the link below to get a free demo session and join Edukemy's geography course today.
Cycles. We have done carbon cycle. Now we will be talking about nitrogen cycle. Now before doing the cycles, nitrogen as an element is important because why it is important? Are your hormones, are all the important enzymes, etc., are made up of proteins? And are proteins made up of one major element, which is nitrogen? Yes or no? So protein building, where do we understand amino acid? Proteins are made up of amino acids, and amino acids have nitrogen as their important. For example, when it comes to organic compound, in organic compound I have carbon and hydrogen. These are the two most important elements for creation of any organic compound. Similarly, nitrogen is an important element when it comes to creation of proteins inside the human body. Now this protein is responsible for making hormones, for your DNA structure, for your RNA. All of these are made up of proteins, your enzymes, etc. One more thing, when it comes to agriculture, the formula for fertilizer is NPK. The formula for fertilizer is NPK, which stands for nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So out of the two sedimentary cycle, now a quick revision. Do we remember the perfect and imperfect cycles? Do we remember perfect, imperfect cycles? Are gaseous cycles such as carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, water vapor are all examples of perfect cycles? Why are they example of, very good, gaseous? Why are they example of perfect cycles? In layman language, you can trace the source of emission as well as absorption. Right. And these are not lost in the nature. Very good. And sorry, this is perfect. These are perfect cycles. And in imperfect cycles, which are generally sedimentary cycles, they are lost in the nature. So out of when it comes to my fertilizers, I have nitrogen, which is a gaseous cycle, and phosphorus, which is a sedimentary cycle. Now phosphorus or sulfur or calcium, etc., we are concerned about these only. Now here, why are they lost? Because the main source of this element is my rock structure. The main source is rock structure, and they also get deposited in in some form or the other. It could be in the form of fossil fuel, it could be in the form of shells, it could be in the form of bone structure itself, etc., and they are not replenished back into the nature. So my perfect, imperfect cycles are important. Now coming to nitrogen cycle, we remember this. Let us go back to our school. You all have done this. You have to remember there were 2-3 things which we used to study about nitrogen cycle. One, nitrogen is the most abundant element in the atmosphere. We know that, right? Nitrogen gas is the most abundant element in the atmosphere, followed by oxygen. But still, I need to use fertilizer in my plants. Ideally, don't you think if something is so abundant? Yes, more than 70%. All right, right, Mehrunisa? So if something is so abundantly present in the atmosphere, why do I need to use artificial man-made fertilizer for my agriculture? Because the nitrogen which is available in the gaseous form, is of no use, and I need to fix this nitrogen. So the nitrogen which is easily available needs fixing. It needs fixing. Something similar, because nitrates, they take it in the form of nitrates, right? You first convert it into ammonia, and then ammonia converted into undergoes nitrification, and then there is denitrifying bacteria also, because anything in abundance, bacteria are difficult to control. Always remember. So nature always has a proper balance mechanism. What if nitrifying bacteria become excessive in nature? They will do a lot of nitrogen fixation. So for that, I have a denitrifying bacteria as well. Now, coming back to the sources, what are the sources of nitrogen? The sources of nitrogen are both, or nitrogen fixing is both natural as well as man-made. Natural कैसे? Lightning. Lightning में, under lightning, when there is extreme temperature, in this the nitrogen breaks down into the nitrate form. Isn't it similar to ozone? Isn't it similar to ozone? In my ground level, I need oxygen. Oxygen and ozone is nothing but O2 molecule combining with O molecule. But is this actually good for the health, or is it usable, or is it of any use? No, in fact, it is not useful. It is rather bad for health. It creates photochemical smogging. So similarly, even the nitrogen which is in atmosphere is of no use. I need natural as well as man-made sources. What are the natural sources? Natural sources being nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation can be done by lightning, or there are nitrogen fixing bacteria. As Deepak has mentioned, one of them is rhizobium, which is associated with pulses. Rhizobium is associated with pulses. Or leguminous plants. And here it converts it into ammonia with further nitrifying bacteria, provides in the form of nitrates, and then it is taken up by the plants, and from the plants it is then passed on to the animals. Now animals, in the form of their excreta or dung, again provide ammonium, which is then converted into NO2 molecule, which is used. All right, so I have NO3, which is extremely important. This is what is taken up by the plants. How do I obtain NO3? By the nitrifying bacteria acting on either NH4 or NH3 molecule. How do I get NH4 or NH3? NH4 is taken, or ammonium is taken up by the soil from the excreta of the animals, and NH3 or ammonia is obtained by the nitrogen fixing bacteria. They are converted into NO3, which is then taken up by the plants, which is used by the plants as a fertilizer. To avoid the access of the NO3 in the soil, you have denitrifying bacteria, which then converted back into nitrogen, and the cycle is complete. Let us repeat it once. So what is happening? I am getting nitrogen from air. It is getting converted by lightning or nitrogen fixing bacteria into NH3. All right. Another sources cattle or animals. They provide NH4. They are converted by nitrifying bacteria into NO3, which is then taken up by plants. This is also acted upon by denitrifying bacteria, which then releases it as NO2 back into the atmosphere. Now, apart from carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, nitrogen is the most prevalent element in the living organism. I'm not talking about nature. I'm saying in the living organism, which I said that why do you need nitrogen? You need nitrogen because they are the building blocks of body. They are the building blocks of body. How are they the building blocks of body? Because they constitute amino acids, proteins, hormones, chlorophyll, and many types of vitamins. Plants compete with microorganisms for the limited nitrogen that is available in the soil. So the nitrogen is the limiting nutrient. It is the limiting nutrient. After understanding abiotic and biotic factors, do we understand the limiting nutrient here or the limiting factor? We have understood how water plays a limiting factor, right? Hydrophil, mesophyll, exotherms, that is temperature. याद आ रहा है कुछ, right? Halophil, xerophil. Then we saw the succession between xerophytic plants also. What was that? Samosere, right? So I see that limiting factor actually decides the type of adaptations any type of species will have, and here nitrogen is a limiting factor, both natural as well as agricultural ecosystem. In nature, it is the lightning and the ultraviolet rays which provide enough energy to convert the nitrogen to the oxides. The industrial combustion, forest fire, automobile exhaust, etc. are also sources of atmospheric nitrogen oxides. I think you know this. If you want, you can take a screenshot of copy this